Hey, my name is Kaiser Hamirani, but I go by Q. I'm the executive producer for Corrode, Shay, the film. I'm based out of Chicago, but I've grown up and been in touch with the crew, going down to India a couple times a year through the filming. The film is actually a very interesting and a very deep film with multiple meanings. The main meaning is it starts off with obsession and how obsession can, it's in some cases be good, but in this instance, it's actually drained everything out of Chai, who's the main character in the film. The obsession is around idol worship, which is a big phenomena in India, in the culture and both in the religion. And it's the idol worship along with all the other aspects in Indian society, like corruption and class, and how it all kind of integrates together, and essentially how it drains everything out of this particular character because if she believes truly that if she gets this idol, all her problems in life will be solved.
So I'm Abhinay Koparji. I'm the director of photography and the visual effects supervisor of the film. It's actually Karan mostly because he is really obsessive. Like we couldn't have finished the film if he wasn't this obsessive, and I am obsessive in a different way. So it was basically me and him, and he was exploring something like this. So he made a 20-minute. He wrote a 20-minute piece on this, a treatment on it, and then we were looking out for some money. We were speaking together. We were speaking to a few more friends. Something interesting happened was this another friend of ours. He won a game show, and he won some money in that game show. So the thing was that he said that if I win the game show, I want to give you guys some money, chunk of money from that. He did, and he gave us that money. So suddenly we had a bit more money than what we thought we would have. So he thought, let's just explore it further, and he wrote it into a proper 92-minute film. So initial thought was a little different. It was gonna be a little more abstract than this, probably a little harder to for people to reach. But now it's got that balance. But we think that it can still reach people nicely enough. It's not as arty. It's still a art house film, but yeah, that's what.
I think from my standpoint, I think the biggest challenges they faced was budget. Like you said, it started off with a short film with fairly smaller budget, but there was clearly talent there. But it was the struggles on the budget, new cast, and building that up. So continuously, even though I'm an executive producer, there's a lot of people that were responsible and contributed to the film in financial ways as well, from crowdsourcing to several other executive producers that we had. So from a budget standpoint, it was constantly trying to live off a very very small skeleton budget, which the team did an amazing job to stretch even a small amount of money for a few months. And then when we would stall, we would keep trying to either source more or put in more funds. That's kind of the budget restrictions that I lived through, but I'm sure there were a lot of other filming
Yeah.
constraints he can address as well.
What happened? We were kind of new at this. Firstly, this is our first film, both mine and Karan's. I had like done some random productions. He had done something randomly. He was basically also a writer. I was writing for a magazine. He was writing for a magazine. So we're coming from a different world altogether. And but it was this idea. So we just said, let's explore this and find out where can we go with this.
You often hear of India, and India is a great country. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of color, there's a lot of glamour, there is a lot of good things that often is seen in the media, but there isn't always just the deeper society, how society has to struggle and live through corruption. A lot of different forms of harshness, if you will. And just the core phenomena of obsession that we spoke about, that it can be good but it can also drain the life out of someone. So I think I would really hope that people can see the multi-meaning and the deeper aspect of society in India, the hardships, and also that there is a glamour side of India, which is great, but there is also, like anything else, the non-glamour aspect to it as well, which we try to capture through Chaya and the character. But,
Yeah, I would say we were more looking at the obsession part of it and how
yeah.
it was just like we were just studying it. How can we? What happens to an obsessive person? what can happen. So what basically they're going through, and then what the world thinks about it, and what they think about it. It's like it's completely in conflict all the time.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I think we've been through about, I don't know, over 10 festivals in the past year, but Raindance was always on our list because it
Yeah, we
is
always had an eye on it
all the way
time.
since Jan of this year, because it is the biggest, I believe, independent film festival. So although we went to other so-called across the board festivals, we were anxiously awaiting this from the beginning of the year. So it means a lot.
Yeah.
And we're pretty excited to be part of the big festival.
Yeah, like we were an indie, like we were a like as indie could be, like in India, and like we premiered in Chicago, which is not really an indie festival. So this sort of Rain Dance sort of connects exactly to what we were talking about. Yeah.